I'm making baba ganoush. It's a delicious eggplant recipe.
That sounds delicious, but first, welcome. You've found Strickland's and Friends, a seasonal whole food, plant-based cookbook. Please like and subscribe below.
So today I'm making some baba ganoush. I'm really excited. Our farmer's market had some nice Ichiban eggplant. These are the long skinny ones. You could use the big fat eggplant if you chose to, but these have a little bit more flavor and I'm really excited to have them. I love some baba ganoush. I've gathered the things that I'm going to need to make the baba ganoush. I tried to give you a number of eggplant to get on the list of ingredients. I think that's always challenging because they come in such different shapes and sizes. And in a few minutes, you'll see me peeling some from a couple weeks ago that were much larger, much longer. So it's hard to tell you how many eggplant to get. The big deal about this dish is the proportions. But this dish is very flexible. You play with it. Try a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that. Try adding some other ingredients. Substitute something. A really funny thing is if you play enough with the substitutes, you'll find that you're making some other Middle Eastern dish. Basically, if you substitute chickpeas for the eggplant, you're making hummus, which is also delicious. So play with it, make it yours. And so what I've found my sweet spot to be is I'll get the right amount of eggplant for how much I want to make, how large a thing I'm preparing it in. And just by looks, I'll use about 1/3 that much of onion. And then I'll use cumin, about a ½ teaspoon per eggplant, and tahini, about 2 teaspoons per eggplant, and the lemon juice to taste. I'll want it different ways, different times. Now, I also got some tin foil. I'll make a couple eggplant in the tin foil for those of you that don't have an old pot that you throw on the grill. You could also be doing this in the oven, but I'm going to do it on the grill because I like to be outside. I'll start by working with the garlic and the onions because the peels come off a little bit easier when they're dry, and once I get the eggplant going, things will be a little wet on my cutting board. So I'm just going to work on getting the peels off. This is going into that roasting pan, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. I'd break this off of a head of garlic, just 1 clove. This brown rough spot, I'm going to cut it off. Then I'm using a large knife. I'm going to put the knife this way. I'm going to use my hand to hammer over the garlic. You'll gradually learn about how hard to hit because you want it to mash up a little bit. That helps to free up the peel, makes it really easy. I used to spend 5 minutes peeling every clove of garlic, and that just adds up pretty badly. That clove of garlic is ready to go. It's that quick and easy for this dish. I'll do that with 6 or 8. And it'll be delicious. So now I'm going to get after the onion, making it into wedges. There's a couple little tricks to this. One is to just barely cut off the roots. I'll use a pretty large knife, so I've got good leverage. You want to leave some of this that's a little rough, a little dense and tan. That helps to hold the onion together through the rest of the process. I can be a little bit wasteful in peeling an onion in that I used to try to get that real thin peel off of the outer layer, but that just takes forever. It depends on how much of a rush I'm in. A lot of times I'll just go ahead and sacrifice this outer layer of good onion just to get the peel away. That's a little painful to do with these small onions because you're left with a much smaller onion. But I think a big thing about preparing things in the kitchen is trying to conserve your time because that's what I usually run out of. I'll use the tip of the knife to take away this brown part at the top that's trying to be a stalk, trying to be a plant. And on this one, it's got a little ugly spot there that I'll trim off. I'm not using it much pressure at all on the knife with that, so I think my hands are safe where they are. Then another trick I learned is to go ahead and cut the onion in half at this point. That gives you a flat surface to have against your cutting board and have it be nice and stable. I learned the hard way that if you're trying to cut something that's unstable and you've got your knife going on, it can roll and and then the blade will get your fingertips. You could rinse the onions off if you're trying to not have any particles of dirt on it. And I'll just cut the onion into these wedges. And these are ready to go. I'm kind of in the mood for that more delicate flavor today, so I'm going to peel the eggplant. I'm going to use a vegetable peeler, an eggplant, of course. I'll just use any short knife. What I start with is I'll just cut off this top part of the eggplant. There's some good eggplant under some of the top. It doesn't always pop off just like that. A lot of times I'll have to pull it off. Just watch out because every once in a while these will have some spikes on them. That seems more common on the globe eggplant than the Ichiban eggplant. So once I've cut that off, I'll just use the vegetable peeler and I'll use it to peel off some of the eggplant skin, just because it's got a little bit of bitterness to it and it'll be a nice, smooth, delicate baba ganoush without the eggplant skin. Be really careful with your fingers. I've caught them a couple times with my vegetable peeler. Your fingertips, your fingernails, they're not vegan, they're not plant-based. You don't want them in your food. I won't always get all the skin off. The little bit of bitterness isn't a big deal if you remove some of it. And some of the better vitamins and nutrients are in the skin, so I'll leave some of it on. So I've got the eggplant cut up and the onions. I've got about 3 times as much eggplant as onion, like I said at the beginning. I think that'll hit the right taste point for me. The eggplant, look, I was a little bit slow with this, and some of it turned brown a little bit. It's oxidized, but I don't think that's going to take away from the flavor. And I just want to show you layering it into the pan. I usually throw in the onions first, just because if they're on the bottom, they'll get caramelized a little bit, and that'll add a nice aspect to the dish, I think. And then I'll put the eggplant in. I'll have them mostly with the flat side up. And then I'll put in the garlic. Yeah, I don't really want the garlic on the bottom to where it's getting burnt. So putting it up on top of the eggplant seems to work really well. I'll try to find spots where it's not likely to fall all the way through to the bottom. And then I'll add the cumin. Like I said, maybe a ½ teaspoon per eggplant. Now, if you wanted to do some of this on aluminum foil, you could have had a few of these in here. A little garlic, some of the onion, a bit of the cumin, and I'll just wrap that up and throw it on the grill, and we'll see that it turns out about the same. These are ready to go to the grill. So I'm out here on my grill. I put the pan and the folded up aluminum just right on the grates. I have three main controls for my grill. The two on the outside I left on high to give it a lot of indirect heat. The one in the middle I had on low, so it's still got a little heat from the bottom, but the main thing is indirect heat, getting the whole container hot. The eggplant's been on the grill for 45 minutes. Let's see what we got. I'm using some pliers to take the top off, since it has that busted knob, which is great because there's nothing to melt. What we're looking for is for the eggplant to be soft. That's nice and soft. That's perfect. And we'd like for the onion to be translucent, that really kind of glassy quality it gets when it's cooked about right. And it has that. You can see how it's nice and shiny. This is ready. So what I'll do is I'll turn off the burners. I'll leave it out here for a while until it cools down. I'll leave the top on to keep the bugs out. If you've seen other baba ganoush recipes, it might stand out that I didn't use any oil. Oil is just concentrated calories. I've struggled with my weight before, and I don't need or want those extra calories. Now, tahini is going to be the really dense source of calories in this, and it's also going to give the dish a lot of flavor. So I might go 2 teaspoons per eggplant. Then also go with a tablespoon or so of lemon juice. I'll just use it out of a bottle just to make it easy and fast. I'll use more if I want a really bright lemony flavor. I use less if I want it to be a little bit more earthy. You could put in a little bit of salt. Blood pressure runs in my family, so I'm not heavy on the salt. And you could grind some pepper into it. Beyond that, I'd really encourage you to play with your food. Sometimes I'll chop up some parsley and put it in here. Some chopped up roasted red peppers, some chopped up tomatoes. Usually those things I'll put in after I've done the food processor, so they'll stay chunky and give me a little bit more of texture. If I want a very chunky baba ganoush, I won't even use the food processor. I might just mash it up with a fork. And I'm just going to use the food processor until it's pretty smooth. Sometimes I have to scrape down the edges, but I don't need to this time. It's just looking really good. That's really the flavor I was looking for. It's a little bit bright, not too heavy on the tahini this time. To me, the garlic is about right, but that's mainly because I roasted a lot of the bite out of the garlic. So there's the baba ganoush. It's not the most photogenic dish, with it always being kind of a greenish tan, but boy, I tell you, it tastes great. And that cayenne pepper, it does add a little bit, just a hint of it. This is just delicious. It's going to make a nice dinner to snack on all through the evening. Look, just because it's quick and easy, I'll usually have baba ganoush on some pita chips that come in a bag from a grocery store. You could have them with just straight up pitas, either toasted or raw. I've had it on toast, I've had it on crackers, I've had it on a sandwich. Well, I'll just eat it off of a spoon. Baba ganoush is really good. And please let me know in the comments if you've found other ways to enjoy baba ganoush. Yeah, thank you for watching.
Please subscribe to our channel by clicking our icon at the center of the screen.
And turn on notifications so that you can get our videos when the fruits and vegetables featured in that video are in season and at their best.
Click at the top left for videos that we have found to be very important.
Click at the bottom right to see one of our featured videos.
See you next time.
Glad to have you on board.